Hi guys, Swordmaster here, and today in this video we're going to take a look at having the player deal damage to the enemy. If you remember in the last video we covered having the enemy deal some damage to the character, and based on when the player character's health was reduced to 0 or less, we basically ended the battle. So we're basically going to do the same thing today, but we're just going to do it from the point of view of the player attacking the enemy. So if you remember in the last video we did put all this logic into the handle enemy attack function. We're going to do the similar thing, and we're going to go into the handle player attack. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the character's attack power just like we got the enemy's attack power. So just like an enemy, the player character has a bunch of stats that we can access, and one of them is attack, which is going to be the attack power we're going to use. So I'm just going to kind of copy the code that we have down here, and we're just going to change it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste all this in here, and rather than this place here, I'm just going to move this part of code where we call the do enemy attack into here, and I'm just going to paste that there. I'm just going to say continue the battle, enemy has some health. Okay, now we're just going to change this around a little bit. So I'm just going to move this and that around. So basically what we're going to do is we are going to get the character, and rather than reduce the character's health, we're actually going to reduce the enemy's health, and we're going to get the character's attack power. So basically I got the character here, so rather than get the enemy's attack power, I'm actually just going to change that to get the character attack. So it's exactly the same, you just need to get the character and then just dot attack, and you'll get the character's attack power. So with that, what we want to do next is we want to get the enemy's health. Now I've created a little utility function down here in the code to make getting an enemy a little bit easier, because at the minute to get an enemy in the RPG Wizard you have to actually get the sprite on the board and then access the enemy in the sprite. So I've just created this utility function called getEnemy, and what that does is it gets the board sprite for me and then returns the enemy component of the board sprite. So in a future version of the RPG Wizard I'm going to add this into the RPG code API. But for now, we're just going to use this little utility function that I got here. So basically to use this, all you need to do is pass in the enemy ID, which we know to be enemy1. So I'm just going to go back up here to handle player attack, and I'm just going to replace this here with get enemy. And then I've got the enemy here. Then I'm going to say enemy health equals the enemy's health minus the attack power, where the attack power is the player's attack power rather than the enemy's attack power. Then down here in our if statement, where we had the check to see if the character's health was still greater than 0, we're just going to change that so it's actually checking the enemy's health is greater than 0. And so that's kind of all it takes to actually now have the character attack the enemy. So basically what's going to happen now is that when I perform the attack, it's going to take the character object in the engine, it's going to get the attack power, it's going to get the enemy that I want, and it's going to apply the damage, and then based on that it's going to decide whether or not it moves on to the enemy's attack turn, or if the battle just restarts. So if I open up the character in the editor and I open up the enemy Rockcat roll, I can see that if I have my attack power set to so the enemy's health is 3, so I just want to show that when I attack, the health, it'll take 2 attacks to destroy the enemy. So I'm going to set this attack power to 2 and just set the max to 2 too. and that means it's going to take me 2 attacks. And the player's health is 5, so I'm going to kill the enemy before he kills me, basically. So we're just going to save this, and I'm just going to run it now. And I'm going to hit fight. And we dealt some damage, but you can't actually see it yet because we haven't drawn anything to show the character's health. So it's going to die, and that just restarts the game. So that's how you deal damage to an enemy. You just need to get the enemy on the board, access its health, and then apply some damage to it. And then you can just do a check and decide what to do next. So in a future video, probably the next video, what we're going to do is I'm going to look at actually drawing some enemy stats. So we like the name of the enemy, maybe up here on the right hand side we'll have a small box with the enemy's name and some of the basic health stats of the enemy. And then when we deal some damage, we'll actually see that the enemy's health is changing. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty much exactly what we have down here where we're drawing the player's stats, only we're going to be drawing the enemy stats. And that's it for this video.